They call him the Monster. And for good reason. Lightning fast, bone-crushing power, who's conquered every man brave enough to stand across from him. Undefeated, 4 weight divisions. A knockout ratio so brutal, it makes champions second-guess themselves before the first bell. But Naoya Inoue isn't just rewriting history inside the ropes. He's quietly building an empire outside them. Multi-million-dollar purses, hidden estates, cruising in sleek Mercedes MGS and custom supercars. A life defined by precision, power, and understated wealth, just like the way he fights. So, before we step into the fortune, the lifestyle, and the legacy of the Monster, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Because this isn't just boxing, this is destruction turned dynasty. Born on April 10th, 1993, in Zama, Japan, he carries a quiet intensity that transforms into thunder when the bell rings. His fists don't just throw punches, they detonate. With nearly 9 out of 10 victories coming by knockout, and an even higher percentage when the stakes are world titles, Inoue has turned the sweet science into a brutal art form. Opponents don't just lose to him, they're overwhelmed. But his story is more than just power. It's about history being rewritten in real time. Few men in the modern 4-belt era can claim undisputed championships across multiple divisions. Terence Crawford did it. Oleksandr Usyk did it. And so did Inoue twice. From conquering bantamweight to ruling super bantamweight in 2023, he became the first ever to unify all 4 titles in that class, a feat that cements him as one of boxing's rarest treasures. Recognition followed. Pound-for-pound rankings placed him at the very top, an honor no Japanese boxer had ever claimed before. Awards poured in, from Fighter of the Year titles to global acclaim. Yet his demeanor remained unshaken, calm outside the ropes, ruthless within them. At just over 5'5" and 119 pounds, his frame may be modest, but the empire he's building is anything but. With fight purses, bonuses, and endorsements fueling an estimated net worth of around $7 million, he has proven that his talent is as profitable as it is destructive. And yet, for all he's accomplished, one question lingers. How much further can the Monster go before his legacy becomes truly untouchable? As a teenager, Naoya Inoue wasn't just another kid in the Japanese amateur system. He was a storm brewing. Gold at the Interscholastic and Junior Nationals in 2009, a bronze at the Asian Youth Championships, battles with future world stars. Every step hinted at something rare. And when he struck gold at the 2011 President's Cup, the message was clear: Japan had a prodigy on its hands. When he turned professional in 2012, there was no slow build. In his debut, he flattened Mayo. In his second fight, he iced his opponent in a single round. Even with a broken hand against Yuki Sano, he fought on with just his left, dropping him again and again until the referee stepped in. Grit, precision, violence. This wasn't an ordinary prospect. This was destiny. Greatness came fast. Just 4 fights in, Inoue tied a national record by claiming the Japanese light flyweight title. 2 fights later, he destroyed Adrian Hernandez to become WBC champion. But he wasn't interested in staying comfortable. He jumped 2 divisions to face the veteran Omar Narvaez, then broke him in 2 rounds with a body shot heard around the world. A monster had arrived. Through 2015 and 2016, Inoue reigned at super flyweight, smashing through challengers but never getting the unification showdown with Roman Gonzalez. For many fighters, that would have been a career-defining frustration. For Inoue, it became fuel. By 2018, he had outgrown super flyweight and moved to bantamweight. His debut, there was brutal. Jamie McDonnell, a champion who had never been stopped, folded in less than a round. Then came the World Boxing Super Series, where Inoue turned contenders into highlight reels. Juan Carlos Payano was gone in 70 seconds. Emmanuel Rodriguez, unbeaten, was dropped 3 times in 2 rounds. And then came Nonito Donaire. The 2019 WBSS final wasn't just a fight, it was a war. 12 rounds of punishment, where Inoue suffered a fractured orbital but fought through it to beat a legend. That night gave him not just belts, but the Muhammad Ali Trophy and worldwide respect. The Monster was now more than a nickname. It was a legacy in motion. From there, the momentum was unstoppable. Jason Maloney, Michael Dasmariñas, Aaron Dipine, all dismantled. In 2022, he met Donaire again. This time there was no war. Inoue dropped him in the first and finished him in the second. A masterclass. That same year, he unified all the bantamweight belts by breaking down Paul Butler, becoming Japan's first ever undisputed champion in the four-belt era. And then, he let it all go. Every belt vacated. Why? Because greatness doesn't stand still. His eyes were locked on Stephen Fulton, the undefeated American at super bantamweight. Many thought it was too risky. Inoue made Fulton look ordinary, stopping him in the eighth. Later that year, he unified the division by dismantling Marlon Tapales, making history as the first fighter ever to become undisputed in two weight classes in the four-belt era. By 2024, he wasn't just a champion, he was a phenomenon. In Tokyo Dome, before a roaring crowd, he was knocked down for the first time in his pro career by Luis Neri. But champions aren't defined by the fall, they're defined by the response. Inoue rose, regrouped, and obliterated Neri in the sixth. That night, he became not just a fighter, but a symbol of resilience. He defended against TJ Doheny, crushed Kim Yi-jun, and in 2025, traveled to Las Vegas to stop Ramon Cardenas, breaking Joe Louis's record with his 23rd knockout in world title fights. Then came Murajan Akhmadaliyev. For the first time in years, no knockout, but instead a masterclass of skill, footwork, and timing. Inoue proved he wasn't just power. He was the complete fighter. And still, the story isn't over. With Alan Picasso on the horizon and whispers of a clash with fellow Japanese star Junto Nakatani, the terrifying question lingers. How far can the monster go? He's already conquered divisions, shattered records, and carried Japan to the top of the boxing world. Outside the ring, where the roar of the crowd fades and the gloves come off, Naoya Inoue reveals a different kind of strength. For all the ferocity that earns him the name Monster, his truest power may lie in tenderness and humility. In 2015, he married his high school sweetheart, Kane, the quiet anchor who believed in him long before the spotlight ever found him. Together, they are raising 3 children, deliberately shielding their world from the noise of fame, choosing privacy and simplicity over spectacle. But even in the quiet moments of family life, boxing is never far away. His father, Shingo, once an amateur fighter himself, has been more than just a coach. He has been the architect of Naoya's discipline and belief. What does life look like when you've conquered everything inside the ring? For Naoya, it isn't about excess or flamboyance. It's about precision, balance, and quiet luxury. His world beyond boxing is a sanctuary, one that reflects the same discipline and focus that made him the monster. At home, he chooses serenity over spectacle. Nestled in the calm of Yokohama, his residence is more than just walls and a roof. It's a space designed for peace, privacy, and family. Every room carries whispers of his journey, trophies that shine with victory, mementos that mark battles won, and corners filled with laughter from the children who keep him grounded. For a man who fights in chaos, home is where he finds silence. On the road, his choices are just as telling. His Toyota Crown is sleek and understated, a mid-sized luxury sedan beloved by Japan's elite. It glides through city streets with elegance, a reminder that true style doesn't always shout. For practicality, he turns to the Chevrolet Suburban, a massive SUV rarely seen in Japan. Spacious, powerful, and versatile, it's the vehicle of a man who values family comfort as much as dominance. And when the moment calls for prestige, Inoue has the Range Rover Sport, an SUV that blends luxury with raw performance. Perfect for a champion who knows how to stand out without trying too hard. Unlike flashier icons who flaunt business empires, he moves differently. His power lies in precision, aligning with brands that mirror his image: disciplined, elite, and unstoppable. From being the face of SixPad, Japan's cutting-edge fitness tech, to endorsing Winning Japan, the glove of choice for the world's best fighters. Every partnership feels less like a contract and more like a reflection of who he is. Add in heavyweight corporations like NTT, Docomo, and Marin, and international stages like Riyadh Season, and you see a picture of a fighter whose reach stretches far beyond Japan. These aren't just sponsorships. They're extensions of his identity, a global brand built on respect, excellence, and quiet dominance. But perhaps the most striking part of Inoue's brand is his persona. He doesn't shout. He doesn't trash talk. He doesn't need to. The nickname Monster was born from his fists, not his words, and that silence makes his victories echo even louder. He remains composed, respectful, almost understated, until the bell rings and all that calm turns into devastation. Yet his story stretches beyond bloodlines and victories. His fists may break opponents, but his heart has always reached outward. During the pandemic, he donated portions of his fight purse to the Red Cross. He has stepped forward for communities shattered by earthquakes and typhoons. He invests in education for underprivileged children and funds local sports programs that give the next generation a fighting chance. Fame could have made him untouchable. Instead, he stays grounded, defined not just by his dominance in the ring, but by his compassion outside of it. And so the question remains, when a man builds both a dynasty and a legacy of giving, what kind of legend is he destined to become? Behind the empire is still the same foundation: family. Trained by his father, guided by the bond of blood, and sharing the stage with his brother Takuma, Inoue is not just carrying a career, he's carrying a legacy. Before you go, don't miss out on exclusive perks. Click the link in the description to become a channel member and enjoy awesome benefits, like suggesting future video topics, getting early access to new content 48 hours before anyone else, and much more. Your support means the world and helps us keep bringing you the stories you love. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more amazing content. And while you're here, why not check out our deep dive into Canelo Alvarez's video? Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.